My name is Beth, and if this is the first time that you have joined me for a class, I want to first say thank you, and second of all, say welcome. I hope you enjoy this practice. If you have practiced with me before, I want to say welcome back. It's really good to have you. I thank all of you for joining me. I am going to take you through a two-pose restorative practice. If this is your first time practicing restorative yoga is a very passive yoga that is all about the nervous system. It's all about relaxing. So the biggest thing that I can recommend to you that as you come into these poses is find comfort, find support. Don't be afraid to move around a little bit, adjust things. Make it so that it works for you and for your body. So what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. So again, this is just all about relaxing, calming your nervous system, calming your mind, and just very important in this day and age. We're so active all the time. So these types of practices are really important all the way around. Today you are going to need a chair. It doesn't need to be a folding chair like I have here. It can be a dining room chair, just something kind of on the smaller side if you have it, and potentially 2 blankets if you have them. And then an option is to have a bolster or a pillow. And if you're not familiar with the bolster, we use these a lot in yoga. They are just basically thick pillows. But again, this one here is an option, and I'll go over that with you. So as we come into these poses and set them up, you're probably going to be in them for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then I'll move you to the next pose. And I just encourage you to kind of maybe make a mental note of what you like, and you can use these practices on your own, not without a video, just kind of remembering what they are and how they feel. So let's go ahead and get started. The first pose we're going to come into is a forward fold facing our chair. So one thing you can do as you get yourself comfortable is you have an option here to take a folded blanket and place that on the floor. Again, if you have a yoga mat, that's great. If you don't need one for practice like this. You're going to maybe sit on that blanket. Again, this is optional. And you're going to scoot yourself forward so that your sit bones are just on the edge of that blanket. And what that does is that tilts the pelvis forward just a little bit. So that's lifting you up and out of your low back. And then you're going to take your legs and you're going to extend them long on each side of the chair. And before we go any further, I just want you to check in. If there seems to be a lot of space between the back of your legs and the floor, you might find that you want to take another blanket, roll it up lengthwise, and place it under your knees. So you have a little bend in your knees. That's just going to soften the backs of the legs, the hamstrings, especially if you have tighter hamstrings. You can also adjust your legs. If you find that you want to put a little bend in your knees and kind of angle your knees out, you're welcome to do that. You're going to, like I said, you're going to mess around with it a little bit. You're going to find what works for you. In this particular pose, if you have a bolster or you have a large pillow, you can take that pillow and you can set it up lengthwise. So it's also going to depend on, how tall your chair is, kind of what kind of pillow that you have. This just offers a little bit of extra support so that as you fold or as you come into that forward fold, you have a place to kind of rest your head. If you don't have a pillow, you are going to use the seat of the chair, and you can stack your forearms and let your forehead rest on the back of your arm. You can extend your arms out long. You can take a second blanket if you wish. You can kind of roll it up, hug around it a little bit, and let the forehead rest there. So, like I said, find what kind of works for you. Make all the little adjustments, all the little micro adjustments, and allow yourself to settle in. I don't want you to worry too much about your posture. If you start to round forward a little bit, that's okay. But Start with the sit bones, work the way up, make sure you're comfortable, check in with the legs, and then slowly find your forward fold. You can rest your chin, you can rest your forehead, it's up to you. And then let's close the eyes. Wherever you end up, take a nice big inhale through the nose, fill the belly up, slowly exhale, release. Before we settle into some stillness and some silence, a few more things I want to share. One, take a little scan of the body, maybe starting at the top of the head and then working down the shoulders, the belly, check in with the arms and the hands, the legs. Just notice any places that you're possibly holding on to any tension. Any places that your muscles are a little bit tight that you just can send a little breath there and relax. The point here is to just really allow the body to completely soften. The next thing is in restorative yoga, it's okay if you fall asleep. It doesn't matter. It's just your body relaxing, and it's good that you're comfortable enough that you can fall asleep. And one other thing is the mind. Inevitably, as we come into this practice, our thoughts want to get involved. Our mind wants to take over. So before I send you off, I'm going to ask you to select a drishti or select a focus point, something that you can use so that as you notice that your thoughts are starting to creep in and take over in this practice, you have that to just draw yourself back to the present moment, back to where you are. So let's settle in, and I will bring you out in a few minutes. So gently begin to deepen your breath. draw the awareness back into the body where you are. Still remaining in the pose, remaining in the stillness. One more nice round of breath here. One more nice inhale. More slow exhale. You can start to find a little bit of movement, moving the toes, fingers. When you're ready, you can slowly start to draw the top of the head up, coming out of the forward fold, shoulders come back over top of the hips. And take that blanket that you have and go ahead and just set it off to the side. Even begin to push the chair back a little bit. And let's bring the hands behind us and press into those fingertips. Pull the shoulder blades together. Open the chest. And come back. Extend the legs. Let's take a moment here before we come into our next pose. And let's just take a few neck circles. Just bring the chin down to the chest and start with a nice circle to the right. Just kind of continuing to loosen everything up. And then next time the chin comes to the chest, let's pause for a moment, move in the opposite direction. And we've made equal rounds on both sides. Bring the head back up to neutral. Let's inhale, set ourselves up nice and tall. Take a little spinal twist to the right. Just nice and gentle. Making sure you're not moving past your range of motion. And then let's come through center. Take a little twist to the left. Back to neutral. If you had your sit bones on a blanket, I'm just going to have you take that, move that blanket off to the side. And depending on how your blankets ended up, let's bring both of them into folded, whatever that is, these two different blankets, so they make two different folds. And the next thing we're going to do is come into a variation of legs up a wall pose. And this is a variation on an inversion. This is a really nice pose. It's actually one of the best restorative poses that you can do. If you don't have a chair available, you can also do this if you have wall space, which is nice. And this is a great pose that you can do really anytime. If you can squeeze this in your day, it's just good for the body, good for the nervous system, good for the mind. So we're going to come back into our seated position right in front of our chair. Keep your blankets just off to the side where they're handy. And then you're going to bring your hands behind you and slowly start to recline back. And then once you're here, you might find that you're going to need to kind of maybe slide the chair forward a little bit. This one requires a little bit of setup. And just to kind of see where you're at, take your legs and place them on the chair. So kind of notice how that feels. So you can see that my femur bones, my thigh bones, are a little bit longer than the seat of the chair. So if you are finding that that is the case, you can take one of your blankets and place it on the seat, and then that adds a little bit of extra room. So that creates a little bit more comfort for me. If you find that your femur bones or your thighs are a little bit shorter than the chair that you're using, what you're going to do is bring your feet back to the mat. You're going to have your blanket handy. You're going to press into the feet, lift the hips up, and then slide a blanket underneath your pelvis. It's kind of hard to see with my shirt. And then let the pelvis relax on that blanket. And then what that's going to do is that's going to create a little bit of extra elevation, just so that you're finding that comfort. If you don't need either blanket, you can, a couple of options. You can take one of the blankets and slide it underneath the back of the head as a pillow, just to, again, create that comfort. Or you can open up a blanket and cover yourself up with it. So once you're there, once you've made all your adjustments to make the pose just the way that you need it to, Let's settle into the spine. So let's kind of shift back and forth and just really allow the back to kind of acclimate to being on the floor. Maybe pull the shoulders up towards the ears and slide them back down so the shoulder blades are nice and relaxed on the floor. And then let's tuck the chin a little bit so the back of the neck is long, so there's no compression in the back of the neck there. And then let's close the eyes. And just as I had you do in that first pose, take a nice big breath in, slowly exhale out, and just allow the body again to soften, taking that little scan, relaxing where you need to, remembering that you have that you have that focus point to keep your mind present, and then just allow yourself to settle in. And again, I will be here to bring you back in a few moments. Gently beginning to guide the focus back to where you are. Taking a second just to kind of notice how you feel. Noticing whether you were really able to allow your whole body to relax. Ready, and finding a little movement. Again, same thing. Just fingers, the toes. Gently move the head from side to side. You can take the legs off of the chair and just gently squeeze the knees into the chest. Just going to bring a little bit of a release to the low back.
An option here to extend the legs up towards the ceiling, straighten them out. Go ahead and bend the knees and just roll yourself onto your side, pressing yourself up, coming back into seated. So I just want to say thank you for sharing this time with me, your energy with me, and your practice with me. If you enjoyed this class, I encourage you to leave a review. I would really appreciate that. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to always reach out to me. If there's any kind of particular class that you're looking for that I can offer to you, I'm more than happy to do that. You can find my email in my bio. So again, thank you for sharing this time with me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.